It has been said by mainstream media that the Trump administration is arresting American citizens and is deporting them. I just wanted to clear the record here, separate fact from fiction. So, as a South African, I'll have to start it from saying that in South Africa, for instance, and this happens everywhere in the world, by the way, it happens in South Africa, it happens in Europe, it happens in Asia, it happens in Canada, it happens in Australia. In a law enforcement operation, where law enforcement officials have some sort of intelligence that there is unlawful activity happening in a particular site or in a particular premises. They go there in numbers, they secure the area, secure both the front entrance and the back entrance so that no one inside can leave. And then what they do is they arrest everyone or they restrain everyone. And in certain instances, especially if you can't hold everyone in the premises, then you arrest everyone and you take them to a police station or to the premises of law enforcement. And then once you get there, you sort out who is who and who is what. That is something that happens everywhere in the world. That is something that gets done by every law enforcement agency in the world. And the reason it's done that way is because if you don't do it that way, the guilty people will slip through the cracks. So it is something that is an acceptable price of law enforcement, that especially when there is unlawful activity, that there is credible evidence that there's unlawful activity happening at a place, that you will arrest everyone in that place. And then after that, you process everyone and then you release those that need to be released. And that will often happen in a couple of hours. Under rare circumstances, it might take a day. But in a couple of hours, people will be released. And it is also not unlawful arrest for someone to be held, especially for very serious, where the arrest was for serious offenses in terms of the offense that the arrest was done in that premises, was for a serious offense like terrorism and violent criminality and things that involve minors and things like that. So this is to say that yes, in some of these raids, ICE does arrest American citizens. Yes, that happens. And that happens under Trump, that happened under Biden, that happened under Obama, that happened under Clinton, that happened in every other president. Because that's the only way when you're doing a raid, you tend to arrest everyone who is there. And then after that, you ask for people, who are you? Give me your ID. That's normally what happens. You ask people their names and their ID, and then people produce their identification. And then identification is verified, and then in certain instances, fingerprints might be taken as well before you are released. That's normally what would happen. Once everyone is arrested, every single person will go through a process of identify yourself. Who are you? You identify yourself, and obviously you don't need to answer the question of what were you doing in those premises. That's something that the police can't force you to answer what were you doing there. But if they're asking you who are you, you have to answer, this is who I am, and you have to produce your identification. And then normally what will happen, the police or ICE will take your identification and then they'll run it through their database to check if it's legitimate. And if they find that it's not legitimate, then they'll put you aside. That's the first process, by the way. And then everyone whose identification clears out and there are no outstanding warrants on them. Because remember, you might be an American citizen, but there might be an outstanding warrant on you. If that also happens, then they also put you aside. For everyone whose name clears, whose identification is legit, and there are no outstanding warrants on them, those people get released within a matter of couple of hours. And then now you are left with illegals and legals and American citizens who you still need to process in terms of who the Americans who are citizens but they have outstanding warrants. You take them, you put them in jail awaiting prosecution. You have legals who have outstanding warrants. You process them also for that, and then you have illegals who then go to ICE detention. That's basically what has happened. There is not a single American citizen who has been deported. That's just false. And every single person who has made this claim that they are American citizens who have been deported has failed to produce for me any credible evidence that any American citizen has been deported. I'll make it very easy for you folks. If any one of you who's watching this video who claims these American citizens are being deported, please give me one name of an American citizen. One name of an American citizen, verifiable evidence that they are Americans, and evidence that they were deported, and which country were they deported to. Because the problem that we have a lot of liberals here repeating bullshit claims that they heard it from CNN or they heard from MSNBC or CBS or ABC and NBC, and they have no evidence of any of these claims. But what is to be expected is that yes, American citizens will be detained as well in ICE raids. That is something that is common in every administration. That is something that is common in every country in the world. When there is a high stakes raid in a premises, everyone in the premises gets detained. Every single person. Until the officials are able to sort out who is who. Who is who. Till then, everyone gets detained. That is something that is common. That is something that gets done in India or China or the United Kingdom or Germany or France or New Zealand or Canada or Australia, or in this particular instance in Los Angeles, United States of America. So get over it. Cut the bullshit. If you are in the premises and there's a high stakes cut like ICE raids, your rights are not being violated. Yes, you might be detained. You might be detained for a couple of hours. And until we are able to verify who you are, until we are able to verify that the person that you say you are is actually the person that you are, until you are able to verify that there are no outstanding warrants on you. And if you are an American citizen and there is or there are outstanding warrants on you in an ICE raid, you will get arrested and you will be detained longer than the couple of hours that will normally happen. That is how many violent criminals who are American citizens have actually been arrested. These raids, where it was actually, they threw a net, they were looking for illegals, they caught illegals and then some. And when I'm saying and then someone who has an outstanding warrant for domestic violence, who has an outstanding violence for sexual abuse or for some other violent breaking in or some other thing, you will be arrested, you will be detained, and you will be held accountable. Get over it. Cheers.